Namaskar students. Hope you are hale and hearty, taking care of your health and your studies. My name is Jyotsna and I am from Education Department, Chandigarh. Knowing about our past not only enriches our experience but it also strengthens our roots. In order to learn about our past, we refer our history books. Till now we have studied about the kings and their kingdoms, the Delhi Sultans, the Mughal Empire, the buildings and towns and traders. While a lot was happening all around the country, there were still certain people who didn't know about these changes until and unless these changes came knocking at their doors. Yes, these were the tribes, nomads, and the settled communities. That's what our session is going to be about today. We are going to take up chapter number 7 from grade 7 book, Our Past Part 2. The name of the chapter is The Tribes, Nomads, and the Settled Communities. So without wasting any time, let's get going. Even as kingdoms rose and fell, new arts, crafts, and production activities flourished in towns and villages. Though important political, social, and economic developments had taken place over the centuries, still, social change was not the same everywhere for the reason that different kinds of societies evolved differently. Understand how and why this happened. In large parts of subcontinent, society was already divided according to the rules of Varna, which was prescribed by the Brahmins and accepted by the rulers of the large kingdoms. The difference between the high and low and between the rich and poor increased. Under the Delhi Sultans and the Mughals, the hierarchy between social classes grew further. Meanwhile, there were other kinds of societies as well. And that's what we are going to talk about today. Let's first take up the tribal societies, which were beyond big cities. Societies in the subcontinent, not to follow the social rules nor rituals prescribed by Brahmanas, not divided into numerous unequal classes. They were called tribes. Members of each tribe united by kinship bonds. Tribes obtained their livelihood from agriculture. Some were hunter-gatherers or herders, combined these activities to make full use of natural resources of the area in which they lived. Some were nomadic and moved from one place to another. Tribal group controlled land and pastures jointly and divided these amongst household according to its own rules. Many large tribes thrived in different parts of the subcontinent, lived in forests, hills, deserts, and places difficult to reach, clashed with more powerful caste-based societies. Tribes retained their freedom and preserved their separate culture. Caste-based and tribal societies also depended on each other for their diverse needs and relationships. The relationship of conflict and dependence caused both societies to change. So, who were these tribal people? Contemporary historians and travelers give very scanty information about the tribes. A tribe is a group of people who lived and worked together in a shared geographical area. A tribe has a common culture, dialect, and religion. They also have a strong sense of unity. The tribe is usually headed by a chief. A tribal society is a group of tribes organized around kinship. Tribes represent a part in social evolution between bands and nations. A tribe can be a collection of families or of families and individuals living together. A tribe usually divides up the jobs that need to be done among themselves. Most tribes have special customs or traditions. Humans lived in tribes before they started living in cities and nations. There are still tribal groups all over the world. So in short, tribal are people who did not keep any written records. They preserved rich customs and oral traditions. They were passed down to new generations, and present day historians use such oral traditions to write tribal histories. Found in almost every region of the subcontinent area, and influence of a tribe varied at different points of time. Powerful tribes controlled large territories. In Punjab, the Khokhar tribe, very influential during the 13th and the 14th century. Later, the Gakhars became more important chief. Kamal Khan Gakhar was made a noble Mansabdar by Emperor Akbar in Multan and Sindh. The Langhas and Arghuns dominated extensive regions. They were subdued by the Mughals. Balochis, large and powerful tribe in the northwest, divided into many smaller clans under different chiefs. In the western Himalaya lived the Shepherd tribe of Gaddis. The distant northeastern part of subcontinent entirely dominated by the tribes, the Nagas, the Ahoms, and many others. In many areas of present-day Bihar and Jharkhand, Chero chiefdoms emerged by the 12th century. Raja Man Singh, Akbar's famous general, attacked and defeated the Cheros in 1591. Large amount of booty taken from them, but were not entirely subdued. Under Aurangzeb, Mughal forces captured many Chero fortresses, subjugated the tribe, the Mundas and Santals, among the other important tribes that lived in this region, and also in Orissa and Bengal. Maharashtra highlands and Karnataka were home to Kolis, Birads, and numerous other Kolis lived in many areas of Gujarat. Moving further to south, there were large tribal population of Koragas, Vitars and Maravars, and many other large tribes of Bhils were spread across western and central India. By the late 16th century, many of them had become settled agriculturists and some even zamindars. Many Bhil clans nevertheless remained hunter-gatherers. The Gonds were found in great numbers across the present-day state of Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh. Now, how nomads and mobile people lived. A nomad. What is a nomad? Let's take it up. A nomad is a member of community without fixed habitation which regularly moves to and from the same areas. Such groups include hunter-gatherers, pastoral nomads and tinkers or trader nomads. In the 20th century, population of nomadic pastoral tribes slowly decreased, reaching to an estimated 30 to 40 million nomads in the world as of 1995. Nomadic hunting and gathering following seasonally available wild plants and game is by far the oldest human subsistence method. Pastoralists raise herds, driving or accompanying in pattern that normally avoid depleting pastures beyond their ability to recover. So, nomadic pastoralists moved long distances with their animals, lived on milk and other pastoral products, exchanged wool, ghee, etc. with settled agriculturists for grain, cloth, utensils and other products, bought and sold these goods as they moved from one place to another, transporting them on their animals. Banjaras, the most important trader nomads. Karwa was called Tanda. Sultan Alauddin Khilji used the Banjaras to transport grain in the city markets. Emperor Jahangir wrote in his memoirs that Banjaras carried grain on their bullocks from different areas and sold it in the towns, transported food grains for the Mughal army during military campaigns. With a large army, there could be 1 lakh bullocks carrying grain. Pastoral tribes reared and sold animals such as cattle and horses to the prosperous people. Different castes of petty peddlers also traveled from village to village, made and sold wares such as ropes, reeds, straw, matting, and coarse sacks. Mendicants acted as wandering merchants, were castes of entertainers who performed in different towns and villages for their livelihood. So, changing society, new castes and hierarchies. Economy and the need of society grew. People with new skills were required. Smaller caste or jatis emerged within Varnas. New castes appear amongst the Brahmanas. Many tribes and social groups were taken into caste-based society and given the status of jati specialized artisans like smiths, carpenters and masons. They were recognized as separate jatis by the Brahmanas. Jatis rather than Varna became the basis for organizing society. Among the Kshatriyas, new Rajput clan became powerful by the 11th and 12th century. Belonged to different lineages such as Hunas, Chandels, Chalukyas, and others. Many of these clans, regarded as Rajputs, gradually replaced the older rulers. Especially in agriculture areas, a developed society was emerging. Rulers used their wealth to create powerful states. Rise of Rajput clan to the position of rulers set an example for the tribal people to follow. With the support of Brahmanas, many tribes became part of the caste system. Only the leading tribal families could join the ruling class. Large majority joined the lower jatis of the caste society. Many dominant tribes of Punjab, Sindh and the northwest frontier had adopted Islam quite early. They continued to reject the caste system, unequal social order prescribed by Orthodox Hinduism, not widely accepted in these areas. Emergence of the states closely related to social change amongst tribal people. Now let's have a closer look at the Gonds. The Gonds, vast forested region called Gondwana or country inhabited by the Gonds, practiced shifting cultivation. Tribe was further divided into much smaller clans. Each clan had its own Raja or Rai. When the power of the Delhi Sultan was declining, a few large Gond kingdoms began to dominate the smaller Gond chiefs. The Akbarnama, a history of Akbar's reign, mentions the Gond kingdom of Garakatanga that had 70,000 villages. Administrative system of these kingdoms became centralized. Kingdom divided into Ghars, each Ghar controlled by a particular Gond clan. Further divided into units of 84 villages called Chaurasi. Chaurasi was subdivided into Barhots, made up of 12 villages each. Emergence of large states changed the nature of Gond society. Basically, equal society gradually got divided into unequal social classes. Brahmins received land grants from the Gond Rajas. Became more influential, the Gond chiefs wished to be recognized as Rajputs. So Aman Das, the Gond Raja of Garh Katanga, assumed the title of Sangram Shah. His son Dalpat married Princess Durgavati, the daughter of Salbahan, the Chandel Rajput Raja of Mahoba. Dalpat died early. Rani Durgavati was capable, started ruling on behalf of her 5-year-old son, Bir Narayan. Under her, the kingdom became even more extensive. In 1565, the Mughal forces under Asif Khan attacked Garakatanga. Strong resistance was put up by Rani Durgavati. She was defeated, preferred to die rather than surrender. Her son too died fighting. Garakatanga, a rich state, earned much wealth by trapping and exporting wild elephants to other kingdoms. When the Mughals defeated the Gonds, they captured a huge booty of precious coins and elephants, annexed part of the kingdom, granted the rest to the Chandra Shah, an uncle of Bir Narayan. Despite the fall of Garakatanga, Gond kingdoms survived for some time. They became much weaker, later struggled unsuccessfully against the stronger Bundels and Marathas. From Gonds, let's move on to the Ahoms. Ahoms migrated to Brahmaputra Valley from present-day Myanmar in 13th century. Created a new state by suppressing the older political system of the Bhuyanas, which were the landlords. During the 16th century, annexed the kingdom of the Chutias in 1523 and Koch Hajo in 1581, subjugated many other tribes, built a large state for this. They used firearms as early as in 1530s. By the 1660s, they could even make high-quality gunpowder and cannons. The Ahoms faced many invasions from the southwest in 1662. The Mughals under Mir Jumla attacked the Ahom kingdom. Despite their brave defense, were defeated. But the direct Mughal control over the region could not last long. A home state depended upon forced labor. Those forced to work for the state were called paiks. Census of the population was taken. Each village had to send a number of paiks by rotation. People from heavily populated areas shifted to less populated places. Ahom clans were thus broken up. By the first half of the 17th century, administration became quite centralized. All adult males served in the army during the war. They were also engaged in building dams, irrigation systems, and other public works. They were also introduced new methods of rice cultivation. A home society divided into clans or khels were few castes of the artisan, so artisan in the Ahom areas came from the adjoining kingdoms. A khel controlled several villages. The peasant was given land by his village community. Even the king could not take it away without the community's consent. Originally, the Ahoms worshipped their own tribal gods. During the first half of the 17th century, the influence of Brahmanas increased. Temples and Brahmanas were granted land by the king. In the reign of cbse from 1714 to 1744, Hinduism became the predominant religion. Ahom kings did not completely give up their traditional beliefs after adopting Hinduism. Society was very sophisticated. Poets and scholars were given land grants. Theatres were encouraged. Important works of Sanskrit were translated into local languages. Historical works known as Buranjis were written, first in the Ahom language and then in Assamese. So there was considerable social change which took place in the subcontinent during this period. Varna-based society and tribal people constantly interacted with each other. The interaction caused both kinds of societies to adopt and change. There were many different tribes and they took up diverse livelihoods. Over a period of time, many of them emerged with caste-based society. Others, however, rejected both the caste system and the orthodox Hinduism. Some tribes established extensive states and well-organized system of administration. They thus became politically powerful. This brought them into conflict with larger and more complex kingdoms and empires. So let's have a quick look at what we have done till now. We have talked about the tribes, the tribal societies, and what actually happened with the tribals, and then we moved on to the nomads, the ones who were moving. Then we talked about new castes and hierarchies. We talked about the Gonds and their strengths, and then from Gonds we moved on to the Ahoms. Let's try to analyze what we have learnt out of today's session. On your screens you can see two different columns. You have to match them in the correct manner. So Gar is related to Chaurasi. Tanda, Tandas were related to the Karwa. Laborer were called Paik. Clan were called the Khel. cbse, he belonged to a home state. Durgavati, she was the first women ruler for Gara Katanga. Let's fill the blanks. The new castes emerging within Varnas were called Jatis. Buranji were historical works written by the Ahoms. The Akbar Nama mentions that Garakatanga had 70,000 villages. As tribal states became bigger and stronger, they gave land grants to temples and Brahmanas. Let's see if the statements given on the screen are true or false. So tribal societies had rich oral traditions. True. There were no tribal communities in northwestern part of the subcontinent. This is false. The Chaurasi in Gond states contained several cities. False. The Bhils lived in the northeastern part of the subcontinent. That is also false. On your screens, you can see a question, and there are 4 options to it. You have to pick the correct option. The northeastern part of the subcontinent was dominated by Nagas, Ahoms, Langhas, or both Nagas and Ahoms. Yes, the option D, that it was dominated by both A and B, is correct. Contemporary travelers and historians give dash information about tribes. Very scanty, no, rich, or reasonable. Actually, contemporary travelers and historians give very scanty information about the tribes. The Mundas and Santals lived in Orissa, Bengal, present-day Bihar and Jharkhand, or all of the above. Yes, Mundas and Santals lived in all of the above. They lived in Orissa, Bengal, present-day Bihar and Jharkhand. Moving on, the hierarchy between social classes grew further under the Delhi Sultans, Mughals, both A and B, or none of the above. Yes, it is option C, that the hierarchy between social classes grew further during the reign of Delhi Sultans as well as Mughals. Seep Singh was an important ruler of the Gonds, Bhils, Kolis or Ahoms. Seep Singh was an important ruler of the Ahoms. He was the son of Dalpat Shah and Rani Durgavati, Man Singh, Aman Das, Chandra Shah or Bir Narayan. It was Bir Narayan who was the son of Dalpat Shah and Rani Durgavati. The Cheros were defeated in 1591 by Maharana Pratap, Amar Singh, Prithviraj Chauhan, Raja Man Singh. The Cheros were defeated in 1591 by Raja Man Singh. Like always, I believe today's session was also very interesting. We'll be back with many more videos. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. Namaskar.